His comeback began long before the first whistle blew this pre-season. 18-year-old Marc Bernal, once a bright spark flickering to life in Barcelona's midfield, now stands at the edge of something bigger. Last summer, his name buzzed through the corridors of La Masia like a secret promise. Each touch of the ball whispered of raw talent. Under Hansi Flick's watchful eyes, he slipped neatly into the first 11. His feet painting passing lanes with the ease of someone who has lived and breathed the game. Could this be the dawn of something even greater for the young midfield prodigy? In only his third competitive outing, fate struck with the sudden cruelty of a snapped string. His right knee, once a flawless hinge beneath the sunlit arches of Camp Nou, buckled under the weight of expectation. The stadium's roar turned to a collective gasp, the kind that freezes blood. An ACL tear was the verdict, a medical term that sounded distant until it became his entire world. What followed were months stitched together by pain-numbing injections, endless physiotherapy sessions, and nights when doubt crept in like a chill. Could his body endure the chance to rise again? Each morning he greeted the sun with the same question, balancing hope on the edge of his own fear. His rehabilitation was a battlefield, with sweat, tears, and the rhythmic click of machinery marking every advance. Slowly, painfully, he learned to trust his knee again. The sound of weights clanging in the gym became a melody of promise, and every stride on the treadmill whispered, "You're not done yet." And just when the doubt threatened to drown him, another question surfaced. What lengths would clubs go to for a talent this rare? Mere weeks after the first signs of his return, word spread that AS Roma had shaken off the ashes of last season and set their sights on Bernal. Under Gian Piero Gasparini's new stewardship, the Giallorossi are building a midfield as dynamic as the city itself. Vibrant, unpredictable, and brimming with potential. Sources close to Gianluca Di Marzio claim that initial calls have fluttered between Barcelona's sporting directors and Roma's hierarchy. Each side measuring interest like two dancers gauging each other's steps. Rome's narrow streets echo with dreamers and history. Now they want Bernal to add his own chapter. Gasparini envisions a line of three midfielders, weaving patterns reminiscent of the Tiber's curves. And he believes Bernal's vision and tenacity could be the missing flourish. Would moving to Italy, trading Camp Nou's bright lights for the ancient Colosseum shadow be a risk worth taking? As whispers of negotiation swirl, the question lingers, can a teenager, fresh from surgery, shoulder the weight of expectations in a foreign land under a new manager's gaze? But closer to home, another suitor watches with equal ambition. Real Betis, nestled in Seville's passionate heart, covet Bernal's return to form as eagerly as any European powerhouse. Their olive-lined streets whisper of flamenco rhythms, and their stadium pulses with fans who demand flair and fearlessness. Betis's technical directors see in Bernal the spark to ignite their own midfield dreams. Someone who can glide between lines and strike a chord with supporters who cherish homegrown talent. The Andalusian club scouts have tracked his progress through discreet visits to training sessions, photographing each touch, each sprint, each glimmer of the old spark. Could the promise of regular playing time under a manager who values youth be enough to sway him? As Betis prepare their opening offer, the air grows thick with anticipation. Will Bernal heed the call of his native land, or will he venture elsewhere in search of the stage he envisions for himself? Yet, amid these swirling interests, Barcelona remains steadfast. The Catalan giants, bruised by past sales of academy jewels, view Bernal not as a commodity, but as a cornerstone for their midfield artistry. Flick has already mapped out a gradual return. Like days travelling at dusk, staggered starts that ease him back into the roar of the crowd, and tailored sessions with the first-team coaches who know his every move. Behind the scenes, contract clauses have been penned, extending his tie to the club that moulded him from childhood. The ink is almost dry. Only the official signature stands between promise and permanence. Barcelona's hierarchy has made one thing clear. This summer will not mark his departure. They see in his recovery not vulnerability, but resilience. Not a risk, but the first chapter of a redemption story only he can write. And as summer wines carry the scent of new beginnings through Catalan nights, one question remains. How will Bernal repay the faith placed in him? In the hush before the season's first match, Bernal's boots sit by his locker like silent witnesses to his journey, scuffed yet ready. He slips them on and feels the familiar cradle of leather hug his feet. The grass, freshly cut, releases a scent of promise beneath his soles. Each blade whispers, "You belong here." He warms up with deliberate care, every pass and turn a testament to months spent rebuilding strength and belief. Teammates exchange glances, some filled with curiosity, others with cautious optimism. When Flick calls his name, the stadium's lights blaze to life, and the moment stretches like an unbroken cord. He steps onto the field, senses alive to the hush of expectant silence and the thunder of anticipation. In that instant, all doubts fade, only the game remains. What happens next will decide if injury truly rewrote his story or simply added a dramatic pause before his greatest act. And as the whistle rises, the world leans in to watch him write the next line.